Welcome back to Favorite Tip Friday. This is a series where I reach out to contributors from all over the author community and I get their top tip on the subject of the week. This week, we're going to talk about why we started self-publishing books. Now, whether we're publishing written books, no content books, or a hybrid of both like I do, at some point, something told us that self-publishing books is what we needed to do. What made you decide to start self-publishing books? Let me know down in the comments. So as you're watching the clips from the contributors today, I want you to think about the one reason that they give and how that morphed into the business that they have today. And with that, let's get to the contributors.
All right, so why did I start self-publishing? All right, one of the reasons why I started self-publishing is because I had a ton of illustrations, right? I make t-shirt designs, right? So I had a ton of illustrations and I was like, you know what? If I just took the ink out of the illustrations, I will have a coloring book, right? Just put it all together and put the theme together and stuff like that for a coloring book. And I can start creating coloring books on KDP to sell on Amazon. And I was like, let me see what I can do. And then next thing you know it, I started doing this. And I started creating coloring books and I had a lot of success with it. And then testing other things too, like log books and stuff like that too. I do have success with those type of books, but that was pretty much it. And then I seen the opportunity to make content to help other people with, KDP and stuff like that, or just give them the opportunity for Merch by Amazon to come over here to start self-publishing over on KDP, right? So I think it's just very, very powerful. And a lot of people don't understand that you can create a book and it doesn't have to be like a written novel, right? It can be a low content book. It can be like a medium content book. But of course, the higher you go up when it comes to creating like a really creative book, the less competition you have, right? So the easiest thing for me that made sense was take the ink out of the illustrations, put a theme together for some coloring books, and boom, you know what I mean? Next thing you know it, just crushing it, making some sales with coloring books and have some top sellers and niches, and they're doing really well. And the cool thing about it, I don't freaking have no inventory, right? So it's pretty amazing that we have this opportunity to do this type of work and take care of no customer service or the shipping. It's freaking amazing.
Hello, I'm Kevin McGuire. Keith asked me for a few tips on self-publishing, and here's one of them. Why did I start self-publishing? Back before I started writing books, I was into affiliate marketing for those online dollars. It was a lot of work. I made some money, but not enough to justify the time and money I was putting into it. I watched a lot of YouTube to find ideas and learn things. I still do. YouTube is a great learning resource. Then I stumbled upon Self-Publishing with Dale. I watched him for a year or two before he opened his self-publishing course. I jumped. Then he offered the first 10 people to finish that course, group and individual coaching. I was one of them. So was Keith. He challenged us to write a short story in a week. And the rest is history. One of the lessons I learned. Stop waiting, start writing.
The reason I started self-publishing is a twofold answer. The first being me coming home one day totally stressed out. I was actually in tears because I had a huge project coming up and no one in management would give me any help. Now, I had been in this job for years and it was something I should have been used to. But when they created a new position for someone and it wasn't given to me, and that person did not want to be involved in the project at all, I basically had enough. So my husband, he just said, quit. You want to write, so go write. And that's the second half of the answer is I wanted to write since I was 12 years old. I wanted to write and travel. So finally, this year, we should be back to the traveling part. Self-publishing is basically fulfilling a childhood dream and leaving a very stressful job. Although being a writer is still very stressful.
Self-publishing really was kind of an accident for me. I was challenged to do a book by my corporate wellness coach at the 9-to-5 job that I was working with. And I did it. But when I went to go and publish the book, now see, I was going to go to an offset printer. It was like a local printer. He was a pretty good friend, and he was going to be able to do, I think, about 100 books, 1,000 books, something like that. But I remember the ticket was going to be about $1,200 to get going. And I went and shared that news with my wife, and she was not too keen on me plunking down $1,200 to get a pallet full of books that may or may not get shifted. So I did a little bit of research and found CreateSpace at the time, which of course evolved into KDP Print. And when I started, I went into that, I discovered, oh my gosh, this whole thing can actually be free for me to publish. So getting onto Amazon was just a happy coincidence. It was a great byproduct of me actually pursuing this. So why did I start self-publishing? Honestly, it was just to scratch an itch. I really did not anticipate that all these years later that I would end up in this position as a person who is kind of an advocate for self-publishing, kind of a mouthpiece for the indie author community in some instances.
I first started writing books back when I was about 14. I wrote poetry and I wrote regular books, but I didn't self-publish anything for many, many years. I didn't start self-publishing until 2015. And it actually started out of necessity, as many things do. My daughter was really big into softball, and I wanted a journal for her to both track her stats as well as be able to track those Dear Diary type moments. And most softball players aren't really the Dear Diary type. But I also thought that it's something that she could use, but also other people could benefit from it as well. So I found out about KDP, and I was like, well, I can create this book for free. I can publish it for free, and other people can use it. And if I make a couple bucks on the side, so be it. Surprisingly, that book to this day is probably one of my best sellers, at least when it comes to my no content books. And again, it was just out of necessity. And a couple years later, I decided I was going to self-publish one of my children's books. I tried to go to some literary agents. I went to some publishers. And to be honest, it was just too much of a hassle for me. It just didn't interest me. I was like, you know what? I created this journal for free, published it for free, and it worked out well. Let's try that with a children's book. And the rest, as they say, is history. It's all worked out pretty well for me. Now with that, let's keep it moving.
Hi, I'm Judy Shear Waters. So, as Keith has asked, why did I start self-publishing? Well, in 2013, I was writing my first memoir and belonged to a critique group that was just awesome in helping me through the writing. And then one of the gentlemen in that group actually had a hybrid publishing company. And I guess I never considered doing a traditional publisher. And John just asked if he could publish my book as his very first one that he had ever published. So I was very happy that he was wanting to help me with publishing that. So then about 2 or 3 years after that, my dear friend John passed away, and his widow asked if I would consider taking over his publishing company. So I decided to do that. I taught myself so many different things that you have to know about this industry. I still have a lot of my covers designed for me because I am not a designer. But I have written and published now, self-published, the 3 memoirs, how-to publishing book, 2 children's books, a couple family books, and approximately 30 low-content books, puzzle activity, journals, all that sort of thing. So I enjoy the freedom that self-publishing allows me. I am not accountable to anyone other than to critique groups or my beta readers or anything like that. So I do enjoy doing this self-publishing. I hope I answered the question, and blessings to everybody out there.
Hey Keith, thanks for having me. I've got 5 reasons as to why I started in self-publishing, and let me share those with you. So reason number one was my gateway, the gateway into self-publishing through low and no content. And this, provided an opportunity to generate potential income with quite a low barrier to entry. So that was my gateway into self-publishing. Point number two, for the nonfiction book that I had a clear lack of audience, which essentially meant that number one, it'd be very difficult to get a publishing deal, and number two, even if I did, I probably wouldn't have sold many books, if any at all. So the third point that I've got, and this was quite a strong motivation for me, I had information that I felt strongly needed to be said and shared. So this was one of my big motivations as to why I self-published one of my nonfiction books. Point number four, complete control. I hope most people in self-publishing understand this. You control the intellectual property, your copyright, you control the process of your cover, your interior, and everything, start to finish. It's quite nice to have complete freedom and complete control over every step of the process, which you may not get with a publishing deal. And my final point is more profit. And the reason I say this is, essentially, I'm only splitting profits with, say, KDP or the aggregator platform that I'm using. I'm not splitting it with a bigger traditional publishing company, which typically will take a bigger chunk of royalties before I see anything. So those are my top 5 reasons as to why I started in self-publishing.
So why did I get into self-publishing? Well, what it all really comes down to is I just wanted to be my own boss. I was working as an art director in an advertising agency, and it was fun, but I was pretty dissatisfied at the end of the day, and I really just did not want to work for anyone else. I wanted to work when I wanted, from where I wanted to make as much money as I wanted, and I just didn't want anyone else breathing down my neck and calling the shots and making most of the money. So, honestly, I was searching online for ways to make money online. I came across this idea of self-publishing on Amazon as a business model. I've always loved books, so I kind of just ran with that idea. And today I am happy to report that I no longer need to go into a job anymore. Today I am pretty much living the life that I want to live. And yeah, now I basically just focus on helping other people to do the same thing. I help people to create a passive income selling journals, planners, notebooks, and more on the Kindle Direct publishing platform. So that's me. That's why I got into self-publishing.
Hey there, I'm Julie the Book Broad with Book Launchers. I started self-publishing because Wiley rejected me. First, they rejected my book idea, and then after a 3-month back and forth working on a book idea they gave me, they rejected me. But ultimately, it was the greatest gift they ever could have given me because it pushed me into self-publishing, which I think is the greatest thing for all authors to consider and ultimately do.
I want to say a huge thank you to all my contributors this week. Make sure that you check out their links down in the description below. I know we had quite a few of them this week. And I also want to know what got you to start self-publishing books. Again, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Also, if there's a topic that you're really interested in that we haven't done on Favorite Tip Friday, and you'd like to get other contributors' ideas on it, let me know about that in the comments below as well. I'd love to see what kind of ideas you come up with. Now, before you go, YouTube says that you really need to see that video. So check out that video. And until next time, remember to write right.